This conference will now be recorded.
Hey everyone, in this session I am going to show you how we can develop global error handler in real time. A global error handler is one which can be reused as a utility global error handler among the projects. That means we can do one-time development and that can be used across the projects, and it will also developer friendly, and it decreases a lot of efforts in modern APIs through API-led connectivity over API layers. How we can build? Now I am going to show you. This is one of the foundation. Usually, suppose you are starting with a new project. What are all the foundations we usually have? The utility logic. In one of that, the global error handler is falls into utility development. Once we develop it and we supply it over all the projects, I have developed a global error handler and I will show you how we can build it. Okay. So for this session, the prerequisites are I have developed global error handler using latest Mule ESD version, that is 4.3.0, that has released exactly 1 month ago on April 30th. So today we are going to work with the latest version. For that you need to download latest Anypad Studio, or you can upgrade your runtime in your existing studio by going to help, install new software, then you can install the new runtime version. I would suggest to download latest Anypad Studio from MuleSoft rather than updating the runtime in the studio. Okay, let's get started. This is the one of the prerequisite, and one more prerequisite is if you would like to understand this global error handler, how we do in real time, you need to complete Anypad platform section first. Then come back to this session and understand it. If you are not enrolled my sessions in Anypad platform section in my course, I have enabled preview on design API specification, create API based project and real-time project architecture, and also fragment based API specification using RAML. We are going to use this fragment based API specification that I have built here to create this project. So before this session, the all error handling videos are straightforward. But to work with this session, you should be downloading the latest Anypad Studio and also should be completed Anypad platform section first. Then come back to Mule error handling. My intention is to keep all the error handling in one place rather than in multiple places. So that's why once you enter into this session, pause it, go to Anypad platform, complete the videos, then come back to this error handling. You will feel two far better way. Let's get started. I am going to create a new project based on the API specification that we built for EMP HR API. Let me create a new project. Let me take it as EMP HR SAPI, and I am going to get it from Design Center. Go to Design Center. I have already logged in. My user is Varun 11 2019, and EMP HR SAPI I was going to work. Click on OK.
This conference will now be recorded.
Click on Finish. Now a new project will be generated with respect to the API that we imported from Zen Center along with the API kit router. If you see, by default, we are getting global error handling here. This contains only the errors related to the API kit. If we enhance this global error handler with the other errors that we may expect over all the flows and also over all the projects, then we can build one global error handler and we can supply that to multiple projects. Now, if you see, I have got HTTP configuration, then API. Now I am going to delete it and I will be introducing my own global error handler, including these. I've already created it to save the time. I explain it, how I have built it, and also I am including this project in the resources of this video along with the cookbook or runbook I have prepared for global error handler. So this global error handler contains what is it, what are the advantages, how to build, what are all the error types as handled. You can see that. Here I mentioned about each and every error type and how it is gonna respond. We will see now that practically. So you can refer to this cookbook or runbook I am uploading here and you will be able to understand exactly over the documentation also. Now I am going to delete everything from this error handling and let me introduce global error handler. First, we will go with happy path scenario. Then I will show you how the global error handling is working with different scenarios. Let me delete it because I've already included those in my global error handler. Let me copy paste the global error handler that I already developed because it is huge. If I do development one by one, it takes a lot of time. That's why I developed before and explaining now. Anyway, in previous session, I explained how we can create the global error handler, right? So now we have global error handler in place. What all I have done here, let me show you one by one. And the same thing I mentioned in the documentation. At first, I am handling bad request. And according to the RAML, how we would like to respond back the error responses, let me show you. Suppose I am getting internal server error. The expected response is code 500, message internal server error, and description and date time when it happened and transaction ID. If you see in our RAML, we discussed about transaction ID trait to make transaction ID communication over different APIs. This way we do. Now I'm going to show that. Coming to the global error handler, I need to make that kind of response. So what it need a code, it need a message, it need a description, date time nothing but current date time, transaction ID nothing but whatever the transaction ID I am getting over the request. If not, what is the transaction ID I am generating? Coming to the global error handler, you see if this error comes, this type of error comes over the HTTP request, then I am creating a variable saying that HTTP status as 400 and I am setting a error message saying that error message bad request. So these two has injected into HTTP listener response section and the error description I am setting up is error description some dynamic logic. I will show you how it works. And in similar way, if I am getting method not found, assume before this, usually bad request happens whenever a expected JSON payload is not coming. Suppose, according to my RAML definition, what I have kept, I put, let me show you in data types. So over the request, I put employee ID as required true. If I'm not getting EMP ID, then it is going to raise a bad request error that we will catch and we respond back as EMP ID is missing. In similar way, EMP name required field. So during this time, if I'm not getting any one of the field or both fields, this bad request should be able to handle. So here I have written a logic which can automatically identify the error dynamically. Let me show you that. So on the error description is gonna contain what are all the fields are missing. So according to the RAML, I kept the validation. It's not about missing, it also other validation. So I have written here a piece of logic to produce those fields as array wise. I will show you that. And next, API kit method not found. For this, suppose I have developed a post-based API now. Assume I am sending GET request. Then will it allow? No. For that, I am setting it as a 405. In similar way, I am setting the set error message, saying that method not allowed. These two will injected into header and as well as into the body. And also here I am saying the method specified in the request is not allowed for this resource. But end of the day, we need the response, right? I am creating the variables. So rather than creating the response in each and every section, I have created one subflow. Go to subflow, and here I am preparing the response. And if you see here, I am preparing the code, message, whatever I am setting over here, those will be injected. Description, let me maximize and show you. So I am setting code, whatever the HTTP status we would like to have. That response is going to come like this. So 400 for bad request. I will show you the execution, but the message, if the message is not equal to null, then I'm setting error message that we are preparing as a variable. If not, I am trying to get it from the error object. And description. If the description is not equal to null, then whatever the variable we are setting, sometimes if you are not handling the exception and you are handling in the flow itself, then you would like to dedicate respond back the error description as it is. Then if you are not creating this variable, then it will go to the else block. And I'm setting current date time as this format, and transaction ID I am going to create now. You will understand how I am setting up this transaction ID. Okay, it's a straight and forward. Don't get confused. I need to respond back the response as we defined in the RAML. Code, message, description. These three items I am creating as a three variables in each and every error type. Then to form this response, I put this logic in a transform message, and I am calling this subflow from each and every section. Global, nothing but on error propagate. Now you see what are all the errors I have handled, and I have documented about each and every error type when it happens and how it responds. You can refer to the document. So I'm handling API kit bad request, method not allowed, not acceptable, not found, unsupported media type, HTTP bad request, forbidden, client security, HTTP connectivity, internal server error. Again, HTTP method not allowed. Here we have developed API kit method not allowed, and here we developed HTTP method not allowed. When it executes, when we are consuming another REST service and you are by mistake sending a wrong method, during the time it will work. In similar way, HTTP not acceptable, HTTP not found, HTTP parsing, HTTP retry exhausted. Usually we configure HTTP retry configuration while consuming the REST services. In similar way, you are sending some security, but that couldn't allow. Then you are customizing the here. In similar way, HTTP timeout, HTTP too many requests, HTTP unauthorized, HTTP unsupported media type, stream maximum size exceeded, retry exhausted, redelivery exhausted, and connectivity, timeout. And if any error is getting over the transformation or with respect to the expression or at the routing or at security, in the end, any, nothing but global one, 500. So this way we develop global error handler in real time. And also still we can extend this. Here we can check a flag. Is send email required from the property file? If it is true, yes, you can send a email. You can implement a logic email, sending email logic here. In similar way, if you would like to raise a service no ticket, if you can read the flag from the property file, if the flag mentioned as yes, then you can call by sending the necessary details to the Snow REST service, Snow REST service, you can raise a ticket. This way we can develop a utility global error handler in real time. Let's see with this example how it is going to work. So let me go to EMP HR SAPI. Let me take this flow separately, then let me do the implementation. So the flow is create employee in HR system. Let me do Control X, then save it. Let me create a new folder under source main mule as implementations. So here we are going to have implementations of the REST service. Implementations finish. And let me create one flow here as create HR employee. Finish. Let me drag and drop into implementations. Because we should not do all the development in the one flow itself. Due to that, if I have one REST service, that is fine. But if I have more REST services, that would be clumsy and more difficult to understand. I have discussed this about in the Anypine platform section, which I have previewed. You can see that how we can create real-time project in the real time. There you can understand this. Save. And I am gonna have a response not like this. Let me copy paste from our examples. So create employee response JSON. We would like to have the response this way. After successful insertion. So here I should not hardcode the date, even transaction ID. Let me create first transaction ID, then we will come back here and we will continue with the development. So according to the trait, we created transaction ID over the request in RAML. That means we always been asking the requester who are consuming our services to send a transaction ID. Okay. So let me put a variable. And as we created the trait, we were expecting a transaction ID. So let me copy paste from the global error handler to maintain a unique value to avoid the confusion at the variable level. Let me take it as transaction ID. Let's select. Then here I am going to read the transaction ID over the headers from HTTP request. So attributes dot headers dot. I am going to get the transaction ID as how we have created a trait. In trait, we have specified how we were expecting that. If I go to traits that we created, and here the transaction ID, this is an example, and we were expecting the key as X-transaction ID. If we are getting it, fine. Otherwise, we default it to our own transaction ID. What is the advantage of it? I will show you. And if it is not coming, let me make default as UUID, which will give me my own transaction ID in the flow level. Let it be transaction ID. Let's save it. Now this transaction ID, I am going to inject in my happy path response, even in error scenario also. So here I should not hardcore the value. I should want the current date time has that format. So we get the now as let me put now as string simply, then format as the same format we see in the value, that is YYY hyphen mm hyphen DD, then T HH SS. Now let me remove the value. Now we are going to get the dynamic value. Save. In similar way, I should inject the transaction ID from the var, because we are already setting that into the variable to maintain over the entire application. It should be transaction ID. Let me copy paste from here. Save. Now, what we supposed to do here? We get the employee payload over the request. That is create employee request. Looks like this. And I think I have already created the request to save the time. And this is the request as I shown you the HTTP user just now. So let me pass some other values. Okay. Now, if I send this request, it will come here and it will be responding back the success response, which we set in the transform message. I have not done any database insertion, but let me show you the happy path scenario. Then we will go ahead with the implementation. Save. Let me quickly run the project. Proceed. So the application has deployed. Now let's go and make a request. I have not added any database call in the backend. I just want to show you how it is going to execute. And in the body, I am sending the expected input payload as we designed in the RAML. And also, if you see in the header, I am sending a X transaction ID. So the advantage with this is, so user will get back to know what happened with respect to this transaction ID, so that they can able to understand easily for each transaction ID what was happening. Is it continued successfully or is it errored out? In similar way, we use the same transaction ID in the backend to log each and everything. Easily we can able to identify logs. Suppose this API has failed and the user has transaction ID now. User gives us the transaction ID. We take the transaction ID and we will go to the logs and we can find out where is the issue happened. That is the significance of maintaining transaction ID over the HTTP communication. Now, let me make the request. I have not done anything. Actually, I just set the hard coded the response. Let me check. Yep, it has failed. Let me go to transform message, and here I by mistake I put DD capital. Save it and let it get pre-deployed. It has deployed. Now let's go and make the request. Now we can see we got the expected response, right? Now you see previously we are getting exception, but still we are getting this exact payload. Why? Because I have not created configuration for global error handler. If I create the configuration for global error handler, it could have responded back as 500 internal server error, right? So let me add global error handler configuration. And last time I have shown you, we can able to add global error handling here. Even here also we are allowed to add. If you click on this error handling, here you can provide the reference because I have deleted from here, you remember? So I can choose this. So either way you can do it. Save. Now I am able to refer this to global error. Now I am going to take start log, say that the flow has started. Let me take as for transaction, that is where dot transaction ID started, create employee flow, and payload is. I can put the payload. It's going to print the transaction ID each and every time so that we can able to monitor our logs easily. Let's take it as entry log save, and I am going to take one transform message to prepare input to the database, and transform employee, and inside this I am going to take Java and how the input is coming and what are the database is expecting. So the database table I have is in HR system hr.emp master. Let me show you this. So I have columns EMP ID, EMP name, EMP address, EMP status, and EMP join date. And I have one record so far. I'm going to insert few more records now. So let me take save fields as input are nothing but outcome of this one. And let me take it as EMP ID. That would be payload dot EMP ID I am getting. You can see over the request. And next I have EMP name. Let me take as payload dot EMP name. Next I have EMP address. Let me take as payload dot EMP address. Let me cross check the table column names once. EMP address, next EMP status, EMP join date. EMP status payload dot EMP status. Last one, that is EMP join date. That should be current date time. To deal with SQL types, we can take now as local date time format. Always it expects the format as YYY hyphen MM hyphen DD space HH hyphen MM hyphen SS. Don't worry about these transformations. I have discussed these all in data view language section. Now let me take the database call. That should be insert employee record to HR system. Let me create a DB configuration. So let me go ahead with MySQL, as we are using MySQL for this. And host should be localhost. Port should be 3306. User I have is root. Give the password and load the MySQL jars. I have these in software folder. Software, MySQL jar, open. Okay. Click on test connection. Test connection successful. Okay. I have already prepared the query to save the time because we have been working on this database itself already. So let me copy paste the same, save, and now I am going to provide input as the same thing that we prepared before this in transform message. Save it. Now let me show you the happy path scenario in debugging mode. Then I will show you how global error handler works. Let me run in debugging mode. The application has deployed. Let me show you the happy path scenario first. As you know, we have only one record in database table. Now I'm going to make one more record with Chinna name. Then we can see that record get populated. We can't send. I'm running in debugging mode. Request came. Next, 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 next. Now you can see the advantage with the transaction trait over the HTTP request is I am able to print the transaction ID here and relevant message. So in the future, in the production, if you would like to debug the logs, you can take the transaction here, whatever the transaction sent over the transaction response, the same transaction ID has sent over the request. If the request is not sending the transaction ID by default, we are generating. I will try to show that too. So we can able to debug or monitor our logs easily by usage of transaction ID. That is the reason we always prefer transaction ID trait over multiple projects. This is also utility foundation for all the projects, like our global error handler. Now we can see happy path scenario, a record get populated in the database for Chinna. Now let me show you error handling, how the global error handler works now. Let me send, actually as we know from the RAML definition, I put these two as a required fields. Now let me remove one field. I'm not sending the required field. It will automatically go to bad request. We can see that. It as error.api on API kit router, it falls into API kit related type because it could able to compare or validate the JSON payload against to the RAML that we defined. Click on next, next. See, it came to bad request. Now I am setting up 400, then I am setting up error message, then I am setting up error description, then I am calling my utility subflow. It will set and it will log the same and it will respond back. Now we can see it will say required key EMP ID not found. Location, at which location? And next, let me put it and let me remove name now. Now click on send. It goes to same error handling because it didn't get the expected input payload. It could able to validate over the RAML the validations we put. Now it will say the EMP name not found. In similar way, as these two fields are required, needed, how our global error handling works, let's see. Let me remove these two now. Click on send. Now it will go to the same bad request error handling. Done. Now we can see it will say both fields. It is responding in a array saying that EMP ID not found, EMP name not found. That is the logic we have written in global error handling at description. Once you look into it, you will able to understand. Okay, next. Let me send wrong method. I supposed to send post. Let me send get. So what, how it behaves, let's see. So again, it has failed at API kit. Now it will go to API kit method not allowed. Click on next, 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 send. Now you can see it was saying that the method specified in the request is not allowed for this resource. Let me remove the transaction ID. So from here, so which transaction ID will come? Because if transaction ID is not coming, we are defaulting to our UUID, our own transaction ID. UUID generates the transaction ID in Mule ESB. Now click on send with wrong method. Now we can see how the transaction ID will come for us. Click on next, next, next. Done. Now we can see the transaction ID has generated by the MuleSoft in the backend. And you can see 405 method not allowed, 405 method not allowed, and the description, date, time, transaction ID. So this way we do global error handling. Let me show you one more error. Let me stop the database. If database is down, assume in the production we lost database connectivity. Then how our global error handler behaves during the time. Let me go to services to stop the MySQL database process. Let me kill MySQL service. Here it is. Let's stop the service now. Once it stopped, I couldn't able to connect to the database. Now let's see how our global error handler will behave when the downstream systems are not available, like database, REST API, SOAP services, JMS, or anything. So let me try to fetch the data now. It will say error saying that cannot connect to the MySQL server. Now let's make the request with post. Click on send. Here also I'm not sending transaction ID. Request came. Next. Next. Oh, really sorry. I think did I send the exact payload was expected? No. That's the reason it went to 400 bad request. But I should send the exact request, right? To show database is not working. Anyway, let me add it back. Now I have exact payload. Now make the request. Now it will go inside the flow because we got everything correct. Inside the flow it is there. Click on next. Next. This call will be failed now because of database is not able to connect. Now let's see how it goes. Now you can see it came to connectivity and how it responds back. Let's see. In similar way, if JMS is not connecting, or if REST service you are going to consume is not connecting, SOAP service you are going to consume is not connecting, all the time it will come to this error block. global error handler. Done. Now we can see the response is the upstream service is temporarily not available. Service not available 503. By looking at this error, we can understand easily that, oh, some of the target system we are trying to connect, but our application is not able to connect. Then we will check the logs. In the logs, we can take this transaction ID. Now I am showing in Studio, but in real time, we can see in Cloud Hub logs. Go to Studio and let me go to console. And in the console, I would able to search this transaction ID. So here it is. For this transaction ID, what happened? I would like to monitor. So for this transaction ID, request came and the payload came is this one. And it was saying that could not obtain the connection from the data source. So we can assume that the database is not able to connect. We can talk to our networking team or DBA team to check why the connection has lost. So that it will be re-established, we can able to fix the issue. Based on the transaction ID, we can able to easily monitor our logs for each request level. That is the significance of transaction ID. Okay, this way we do global error handling in real time. Before wrapping up this session, I would like to add a few points. Those are, see, we are able to do the error handling in the global error handler, and also we are able to do error handling in the flow level itself, and also we were able to do the error handling in the subflow by introducing try block that we already saw. In similar way, private flows are meant to do error handling in the subflow. But how we should consider when to go for which one and which one takes priority when there are error handling you have in 3 places, same error handling in 3 places. Let me tell you 3 scenarios. The scenario 1, you have main flow and you have subflow. And in subflow, if you are using on error continue, the main flow will be continue, that we already saw. If we are using on error propagate and we are setting up some response and we are not handling in the main flow, then whatever you set up in the subflow, that will be responded back. And next, that is same with subflow and private flow. There is no difference. If it is a subflow, you are using on error. It is a subflow or private flow, you are using on error continue. It will be continue the execution. If you are using on error propagate in the subflow or private flow, and you are not doing error handling here, and you are setting the status responses in the subflow, the status responses from the subflow will go. Even you are setting the status responses in the subflow, not with respect to on error continue. Leave about on error continue. We should use on error propagate to propagate back the errors, right? So on error propagate with subflow and private flow. Also, you are handling the same error here, like any. Then the priority goes to main flow. Even though it handled in the subflow, again it will be handled in the main flow because you are propagating it, right? And in similar way, the errors you are handling in the main flow are also available in the global error handler, but the priority goes to main flow, not to the global error handler, because whenever global error handler is meant for handling global errors, whenever you would like to do specific flow level error handling, we can still allow you to do here. Whenever you do error handling here, anyway that has catched up here, right? Then again it won't go to the global error handler. These are the key points we should remember. The error handling between global error handler, flow error handler, subflow error handler. That's all about this session. In next session, I'm going to show you how we can do error handling between API-led connectivity, between API layers that are experience, process, and system API. That's all about this session. See you next session. Thank you.